Welcome to the SolaX instructional installation video series. We will guide you through the installation and commissioning of SolaX X1-MINI G4. We will provide detailed step-by-step instructions to ensure the successful installation and commissioning of SolaX X1-MINI G4. Before installation, we kindly request that you take a moment to scan the QR code to read the X1-MINI G4 installation guide and familiarize yourself with all the warnings and caution notes. First, let's get started with the introduction of the X1-MINI G4. X1-MINI G4 integrates user-friendly controls, including DSP control, high-efficiency power components, optimal MPPT, 1 MPP tracking, a wide input range, and anti-islanding features. Installation personnel must wear safety gear, and please prepare the following tools before installing the inverter. Let's briefly go over what comes in the package of the SolaX X1-MINI G4. Now, let's have a look at the physical appearance and dimensions of the X1-MINI G4. This series of inverters are provided with two kinds of DC switches, General version and Australian version. Australian version DC switch is divided into two types. To ensure a proper installation, please follow the guidelines. Firstly, please avoid direct sunlight, rain exposure, and snow accumulation, and select a location away from flammable materials and antennas. It is recommended to install an awning or cover over the device. Secondly, the ambient temperature should be between -25 degrees Celsius and +60 degrees Celsius, and the humidity should be within 0% and 100%. Also, the device has IP66 protection. Remember to avoid installing the device at altitudes exceeding 4,000 meters. Also, ensure the system is installed in the correct angle. For multiple systems installation, make sure to leave a minimum space of 35 centimeters between each inverter. Next, we will proceed with the mounting process. First, fix the wall bracket on the wall, then match the inverter with the wall bracket. Now, we'll move on to the wiring session. Please prepare the following tools before wiring. Before PV connection, make sure that the PV module output is well insulated to ground. For PV connector making, it is also necessary to follow the process of stripping, crimping, and fastening the head. Use a multimeter to measure the open circuit voltage of the positive pole and negative pole of the PV cable, and make sure the open circuit voltage is less than the maximum PV voltage. Otherwise, the machine may be damaged. Finally, connect the assembled PV cables to corresponding PV ports on the inverter, positive and negative correspondence. Note that keep the DC switch of the inverter off during connection. For AC connection, prepare a 3-core grid cable. Strip L and N wires to 52.5 mm and the PE wire to 55 mm. Use the wire stripping pliers to strip 6 mm of insulation from all wire ends. The parameters might vary because of different environment and material. Please choose appropriate cable and microbreaker according to the local laws and regulations. Separate AC connector into 3 components. Slide components 1, 2, and 3 onto the AC cable. Insert the stripped end of each 3 cables into the appropriate hole, and then tighten each screw to tighten each wire in place. Insert component 3 into component 2. Screw down the component 1 tightly. Finally, plug the AC connector into the grid port of inverter. Before PE connection, the appropriate PE cables should be selected. For PE connection, strip the PE cable by wire stripper. Put the heat shrink tube on and insert the stripped section into the OT terminal. Use a crimping tool to squish the terminal. Then use a heat gun to blow the tubing. Connect the PE cable and screw it to the PE port on the inverter. You can choose either to install meter or CT with the inverter, but no need of both at the same time. For CT connection, CT cables should go into pins 1 and 8. Thread the net cable into the RJ45 connector through a screw cap. Note that wiring should be according to the 568B standard. Thread the net cables into pins 1 and 8 of the RJ45 connector and crimp them. Plug the RJ45 connector into the adapter. Then plug terminal to the CT port of the inverter. Clamp the CT to the live cable, and the arrow on the CT must point to the public grid. For meters without CT connections, meter cables should go into pins 4 and 5. Firstly, prepare the RJ45 connector. Thread the communication cable into pins 4 and 5 of the RJ45 connector and crimp it. Then thread the L and N cables into the meter. Thread the communication cable into pins 24 and 25 of the meter and tighten them. Insert the other end into the COM port of the inverter. Note that the pin definition correspondence between meter and inverter is 4 to 24 and 5 to 25. For a meter with a CT connection, similarly connect the L and N cables to the meter. Loosen the screws and connect the CT to the meter. Clamp the CT to the live cable. Note that the direction should be pointed to inverter. Insert the communication cable and connect the meter to the inverter. For monitoring connection, remove the dust cover on the dongle port. Plug pocket Wi-Fi into the dongle port. Please note that the Wi-Fi module should be put in an open space that is within the Wi-Fi signal coverage range, and the Wi-Fi router needs to be connected to a public network. Turn on the DC switch on the inverter. Turn on the AC breaker and wait for the inverter power on. X1-MINI G4 can support local LCD screen setting and app remote settings. If you want to know more about how to set on the app remotely, please skip to the next section, App Setting. You can choose the language. The inverter's date and time can also be adjusted. For settings, an advanced password is required. For the password, please consult with SolaX authorized installers. After entering, you can choose the safety code according to the local requirements. By default, the inverter is set disable. Change to meter or CT according to the actual connection. Also, the inverter can do export control. Set the value to be 0 if there is a 0 injection requirement. Use your smartphone to scan the QR code to download the SolaX Cloud app. Firstly, input the username and password to log in the app. If you do not have an account yet, click Create a New Account in the bottom. Secondly, touch the plus icon in the middle of the page, fill in the site information to create a site, such as site name, size, location, etc., and scan the QR code of the pocket Wi-Fi to add the inverter. Next, configure Wi-Fi connection for the Wi-Fi module. For more information about the operation of Wi-Fi configuration, please refer to the Wi-Fi dongle video. Touch the device icon and then touch the settings button to enter the settings page. Settings include basic, advanced, and super settings. After entering into the basic setting interface, you can set the date and time firstly. The inverter provides multiple languages for users to choose. The default password should be set by SolaX authorized installers. Here you can set safety code according to different grid-tied standards. Please refer to the table for some main codes. By default, the inverter is set disable. Change to meter or CT according to the actual connection. Set the system maximum allowed feed-in power to the grid. Especially, when there is a zero injection requirement, just set the value to be 0. Thank you for watching.